Hey guys, and welcome back to Genshin Interact. In today's sponsored video, we're going to be talking about AFK Journey and why this game looks so great. I'll be honest with you, this game seems better than I expected it to be, so I'm quite excited to share the details on it. Some of you may know that this is the successor to AFK Arena, but AFK Journey distinguishes itself from it in a variety of ways. This game is not merely an idle game, but an ethereal fantasy RPG game with its distinctive visuals, that being of like a 3D canvas art style, and intricate gameplay mechanics, which we'll talk about in the combat, and an added dimension with its PC-compatible side-scrolling elements. Anyways, let's take a closer look. So diving right in, kind of giving our first impressions, both Vixen and I played the game for a few hours, really enjoyed our time doing so, and just kind of the first thing I want to talk about, and Vixen, I'll kind of ask you and let you take this, but looking at the combat first off, and specifically looking at like the characters, what is your like initial thought when seeing the characters, maybe in like design?
Well, it's definitely different than what we're used to, right? I mean, obviously we see this, and like you were talking about, it's a little bit of a different actual design, but it looks so good. And I actually really like a lot of these AFK games. I've played a lot of them in my time, and this has to be one of my favorite. AFK Journey has so many good looking characters that go from the 5 stars that you just saw a second ago and now onto these 4 stars that are like the elite, right? And so going on to here, you see a lot of different characters, and they all have different roles, right? So some of them, there was just a tank right there. You've got a rogue right here, I'm pretty sure, and a swordsman at that. And different ones have different abilities and how they're going to be fighting. You have a marksman here that's talking about just physical damage. So there's magic and physical, and some different opponents are going to be necessary to actually, go against that, right? And so you're focusing on just mixing between physical and mage, actual for fighting. Now, looking into fighting itself here, if you look just in general, you can have 5 characters that you can move around consistently. Now, you don't want to just throw them willy-nilly, and like I was talking about before, you've got tank characters, mages, marksmen, different supports as well, and you don't want to obviously place a support right at the front. You obviously want to try to place a tank or something, and then make sure that your more squishy heroes, but your heavier damage dealers, are in the back. And as you're going to be battling, everything's just taking care of itself. So unlike some other games that take all time and effort to really focus on, you can just kind of let the game and enjoy just these amazing graphics that the game has to offer. And not only that, but the different abilities that can happen here. I mean, these ults are popping off by themselves, and they just look amazing. Now, compared to something like Star Rail as well, this thing just is amazing with how it actually looks for its splash arts, as well as everything that really has to go here. And obviously, looking at this auto battle system, you can immediately jump right into the next battle. And then you're just going back and forth, constantly auto battling, getting gold, getting different achievements as well to unlock more characters and level up your characters even more, so you can stay a little bit alive a little bit longer during those fights. Now, Ryft, I know when you actually look at fighting these enemies, there's a little bit of a focus on not just pulling 5 random heroes together, but there's a little bit more on looking at the synergies between characters and how they go against certain enemies. So could you explain how kind of fighting certain enemies works?
Yeah, for sure. So like right here in the battle setup, you can actually go onto enemies, and sometimes, not all the time, not all enemies will show this, because sometimes the enemies you're fighting are like other heroes. Like we've seen Roman before, like he's a playable character, right? I have him in my party, but like you'll be fighting against those heroes as well. So sometimes you'll encounter them there, so they have the same abilities and whatnot. But like these guys, for example, don't actually have physical magic defense things, but you will come across enemies where you will see they will have, and it'll tell you like this enemy is resistant to physical, or this enemy is resistant to magic damage. And so that's something to keep in mind. Just kind of knowing your enemy is helpful for knowing what should I be playing. Should I be playing a physical based team, a magic based team, what kind of elements, like, and for this game it's not so element based. It's more like Star Rail in a sense, where in Star Rail you kind of have the different paths, like the hunt, elation, nihility, stuff like that, where this game kind of plays more off of what like League of Legends does with the marksmen. And I know you were talking about that yourself, Vixen. We have the supports, the mages, the tanks, warriors, stuff like that. And so that's kind of like different roles, right? So like this guy, he just used his ult. He's the one who creates that vortex. Kind of reminds me of Venti. He kind of pulls them all together, and then he actually decreases magic resistance of the enemy. So he's like a good support to use with other magic damage dealers. All right, so like I turned off auto battle, so now it's like waiting for me to do, but like you have what they call this the bullet time function, where I can activate their ultimate. This kind of is like Star Rail, everything stops, and then I can choose where I place his ult. I'll place it right here, does the animation, pulls them all together. That's what his ult does, and then it decreases their magic resistance. But like I was saying, these guys do all physical, so the reason I like to still use him here is because of the pulling effect. It's like the same reason you'd use Venti. You're not using Venti for the Viridescent Shred in some teams. Sometimes you're just using him for the pull effect, right? So I still prefer to use him there, and it usually I like, you know, it just turns out pretty nice. So going back to like, it is the successor of AFK Arena, right? And being a successor, it's going to have a lot of AFK elements. Like that auto battle feature is one of those examples. And it, as you were seeing, it keeps going. I had it on auto battle and I wasn't doing anything. It completed the battle and it went right into the next one. It'll keep going until it gets you killed, essentially. So that's pretty cool. You've also got this claim thing for like, this is just generating resources over time. So even when you're not playing the game, you are collecting some of this stuff over time to level up your heroes and whatnot. Moving on to the next thing though, talking about the leveling and progression. Vixen, actually, what do you know about this leveling system? I think they called it the Resonating Hall. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I actually was very kind of interested when I first got here because just like a lot of other AFK games, it's very similar on, you know, focusing on leveling your characters, obviously just to do more damage. I mean, that's just most games in general, right? But it's interesting here because if you level up these characters that are in your top hall, which is the Hands of Resonance, in your Resonating Hall, all your other characters under them are going to follow in suit with the lowest level character in the top 5 that you have. And so as we can see here, we have a level 40 as the lowest one. Now, something that actually Ryft brought up to me earlier, which was kind of interesting, you'll see here, if he just brought a character from level 40 up to 41, everybody under him now is automatically at level 41. Now, what's interesting here, and he actually put this really well when he was actually explaining this to me, because I just thought it was a really cool function. But it's actually like you're enhancing the slot that they're in. For instance, this guy right here, if we swap him with the first hero, he now turns to level 43. This guy wasn't originally a 43, but now he is. So you're enhancing that number 1 slot. Now, if you switch this girl to the end or to the beginning, now she is going to be level 43 instead of the 41 that she was just at. And so you can swap out your heroes and obviously not have to put as many resources into the lower characters that you might maybe not necessarily need to level, and maybe just focus on maybe your top 5, whether you have a bunch of 5-star characters and you only want to focus on leveling them and getting them higher to just have more higher power on them specifically. But as well, it's just a really cool idea on being able to constantly switch your characters and their ability for higher levels. Now let's say one of these characters you want to have a higher level, so all you have to do is switch it, instead of maybe having to just throw a bunch of resources into 70, 80 different characters like some other games. It gives you just the free will to just have the characters that you just got all the way up to the highest level that maybe you already have in your team.
So with all of our first impressions and kind of our thoughts out of the way, the ultimate question kind of becomes, is the game worth playing? And I'll just go ahead and say, I think it's a great game to have on mobile, as that's what it specifically is for. You can also play it on PC if you go to their official website and download it there. So, but I think it's great to have in your pocket because of all the AFK elements. If you played AFK Arena, you're definitely going to like this game a lot. It adds a lot of extra cool features, and just, it's kind of like, it's just a great sequel. And if you like that, you're going to like this a lot. It's quick fun at your fingertips, and it's very fun and lighthearted progression. There's lots of voice acted story. When I was playing the story, I actually noticed, I don't think there was one bit of dialogue that was not voice acted, which I appreciated as a voice actor, I guess, but like that makes it a lot more immersive, and you can actually, like, if you don't like reading the dialogue, you can just listen to it, but it just brings it to life a lot, that much more. And I like how they give it that kind of emphasis. And characters can be leveled very high. There was one point I was in the game, I was seeing through gameplay, I think I was looking at like my abilities, and I saw somewhere that I couldn't do something until I was like, level 231. So the characters can be upgraded very, very high. I mean, you've been seeing like our characters are only like in the 40s, right? Low 40s. So like it goes very, very high. And once again, you're leveling everyone at the same time. So like there's a lot of progression to be had and had fun with. So if you're very progression or grindy oriented in combat and rewards, you like to see all the rewards you get, open a lot of chests, there's a lot of that in the overworld exploration, this is the kind of game for you. So I definitely think it's worth playing if you're looking just for something like that. Or maybe you just need to like use your gacha addiction somewhere else. If you know you're saving for Arlecchino right now in Genshin and you really just want to pull, well, use it here, because that's another thing. The gacha system in this game is very, at least from my experience, pretty generous, and the pity is a lot lower than like 90. It's more like 60 or something. So it feels pretty nice, I will say, and it's very, very easy to actually get the currency you need to do pulls. Like I was going through the overworld opening chests, and the chest just straight up gives you the current, like one of the currency to use for a pulling. So it'd be like in Genshin, I open a chest and I get essentially an intertwined fate from opening a chest. That, and like that's generous, right? And the pity's lower, so like it felt really good. So, and there's also lots of co-op opportunities in this game. I don't know about you, Vixen, but like when you're playing, you will see like other people around sometimes. And you can like become friends with them. There are some cases in the game where it's actually necessary for things like this, because there are what are called corrupted enemies, and the only way you can fight them is if you are playing with 2 other players. So you kind of have to build a team. There's also things like guilds you can join and do some like guild boss fights. Really cool sounding stuff that I'd love to get into eventually. So we'll see how that goes. Honestly though, this game looks very, very promising. Can't wait for this to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've just really enjoyed our time playing the game, but just looking a little bit further down the line, it does come out officially on March 27th, and it is only a little bit away, so it's less than 2 weeks away actually from us recording this video, and it's around the entire world. So there's a lot of various regions and countries that it is going to be in, and AFK Journey is free to download on iOS and the Google Play Store for mobile as well, so make sure to keep that in mind, and AFK Journey's official website will be available for download on PC. During the official release, AFK Journey will give away more than 40 heroes of all qualities, including those epic heroes, those 5 stars that we love to see, for free. Yeah, that's for free, guys. Allowing players to experience the full range of combat strategies at no cost. And that is a huge, huge giveaway with a lot of these different games that we get to see here. So this is really, really fun. All these characters have been extremely fun for us to play, so we've really enjoyed it as well, and so we hope that you guys can get all 40 heroes just for this, just for playing over the span of multiple days. AFK Journey will give away all the heroes gradually and furthermore by logging in for 7 whole days once March 27th drops, and participating in different events that they are going to be putting out. Players can get over 200 plus draws for free. Once again, that is over 200 draws, and like Ryft was talking about, the pity system in and of itself is maybe a max of 60 or something like that, and so this is at least 3 to 4 5 stars. And when I first did the first tempo the game gave me, I actually already got one of the 5 stars, and it was Cecilia. And then actually when I logged back in after Ryft had played for a little bit, all of a sudden like 2 or 3 more 5 stars popped up. I was very surprised just because of, we didn't really do too much, I didn't think, but the game is so generous to just give us a lot of different characters so that we can have a lot more fun. Well, that's everything we've got for this video. Please go ahead and like and subscribe, and let us know if you guys are really excited for AFK Journey as much as we are. That's everything we've got for now, so we'll see you in the next one.